Hello, hello, folks. Freedom Fighter Radio. I'm your host, Ordinary Joe, coming to you live from the heart of the Great White North, the heart of the true North, strong and free. I'm kind of a whisper right now, as I am actually here in the warm room at the Victoria Park Arena. My daughter's having her skating lessons right now as I speak, and so it's a little too cold out there in the stand, so I came here in a warm room, but I don't want to be too loud. So there's other parents and families here that is sharing the room with me. Anyways, I want to come on live mobile, and I know that I'm having a little problem right now with the cross post, but there's so much that we need to talk about, and I haven't been able to edit some of the pre-recorded episodes that are supposed to roll out right now. So I am just gonna go live and wing it. And the the um, the agenda and the intention behind many of these things that manifest in our surroundings, in our society, is uh, out in the open, but there are still many of our freedomizers, member of the freedom community, who are oblivious to what's going on and what is the motive behind many of these in, intentional undermining of our freedoms. But it's we could say they're evil geniuses that they know how to hide behind the mask that really you need. I think members of our community really need to develop that keenness and sensitivity to the tyrant's schemings and agenda before we can become really tuned in. But there's much more to talk about. I might be going out there in the stand so that I can speak with a normal voice. And this is Freedom Fighter Radio, April 16th. It's 5:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get the show started right now.
Freedom Fighter Radio, what is up? Whoa!
Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio. And Joe, you're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right, always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes. Hey guys, this is Chris Sky. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
I'm Pastor Arthur from Calgary. You are listening to the Freedom Fighter Radio Worldwide podcast, only here on the Ordinary Joe Show.
Immediately out! Immediately go out and don't come back.
Imagine that the power grid was totally wiped by an EMP weapon of an enemy state. Your stress level will go to the roof, your patience will be tried, you will have to think about both your own and your complaining children's survival. If you don't survive, your children won't when they are left on their own. Teach your children how to have the mentality of being survivors through a fun, children-friendly guided outdoor adventures with basic survivor mindfulness integrated in the fun outing activity. Call my friends Ornell and Victoria who are experienced survivors. Call them at 905-252-8009 or email them at northernpacificcottages@gmail.com.
Please consider supporting the OJTV production costs and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support. Welcome back, folks. This is Freedom Fighter Radio. I'm your host, Ordinary Joe. Please share, because I'm not able to cross post on mobile phone. I don't seem to find the feature where I can go to the StreamYard and change the channels where we are broadcasting right now, so that I can just the one Facebook page that we are broadcasting on is disabled when it comes to the cross post. So for the others who are not able to tune in because we are not able to cross post. Anyways, I would like to talk to you about the very sinister agenda of the tyrants, the technocrats, which maybe if I can put a name to this particular agenda, I would call it the agenda to find every single member of society guilty of something. And once a person is found guilty of anything, just like when you know the usual Hollywood kind of a script, when there are good cops versus bad cops, and when a bad cop pulls over somebody, and to kind of justify pulling over someone, we've seen this in many Hollywood movies where the cop would take the butt of his gun and he will break maybe the tail light, or stab the tire, and or put some sort of like drug in the trunk or whatever, just to sort of to find the person guilty, plant some evidence for them to be able to kind of detain the person, or just find something to justify the pullover or the arrest or the detention of someone that sometimes it's just because it's a bad cop, but sometimes even good cops would do something like this just so that they could justify being able to detain the person and investigate more, if they can, if they're suspecting a certain suspect, and they want to legally be able to detain that person so that they can investigate or prevent that person from doing any crimes. They will do sinister tactics like this, and some police officers will find it justifiable to do something like that, because it's for the greater good. They would say, it's for the greater good. They would do something like that, but that will prevent a bigger crime. But they themselves are committing crime against the citizens, right? So this idea of finding some sort of fault, finding some sort of guilt, or if we use the religious or Christian vernacular, finding some sort of sin or iniquity or impurities from a person, kind of justify the judgmental, the heavy hand, the judge, the jury, and the executioner kind of attitude of anybody who's in authority over the ordinary individuals. The reason I want to talk about this specifically today is because I've been following this. There's a new reality series on Stream TV, and this one is, there's a lot of write up. There's a lot of articles that was written about this particular reality series, and the title of this reality series is called Unlocked, a Jail Experiment, right? So basically what it is a certain kind of sheriff. Well, let me Let me read some of the description for you. A write up on Forbes magazine regarding this new, brand new, and it's actually ranking top one in Canada right now. Netflix new reality series called Unlock, a jail experiment. This particular Forbes article is asking the question, the controversy explained, is it real? Right? Okay. So Netflix new reality series is not like any other. In the social experiment, incarcerated men are given increased autonomy in hopes of creating a community driven atmosphere and deterring future criminal behavior. But is Netflix Unlock a jail experiment real? Find out how the docu-series could be facing legal trouble. Using interviews and unprecedented access, Netflix Unlock, a jail experiment, chronicles what happens when detainees can come and go from their cells and decide how their unit should operate. Over 6 weeks and 8 episodes, 46 inmates are documented with unprecedented authority in the Pulaski County Regional Detention Facility in Little Rock, Arkansas. Sheriff Eric Higgins, who was behind the unique experiment, wanted to discover what would happen when unit cells were unlocked for 6 weeks. We thought, what can we do to create some ownership for those detainees in that unit? Higgins told Netflix's Tudum. How do we make the facility safer? And what can we do to still hold them accountable but empower them at the same time? Okay, so the premise behind this reality docu series Unlock is Sheriff Eric Higgins have discovered that in other countries there are certain jail facilities or even prison that are that the prisoners are not locked into their cells, but the prisoners or um, I think there's a difference, right, between jails and prisons. But in jails, this particular instance, Sheriff Eric Higgins is the sheriff for a sort of like a remand center, a jail where the incarcerated are are, are there for us for a purpose of sort of like a staging jail. Some of them are waiting trial. Some of them will proceed to a federal prison. Some of them will proceed to be uh, waiting for trial. Some are in death row, and some would be released out in the general public eventually when they're proven to be innocent, or if they can, uh, prove that they're worthy to be pardoned or of some sort. Anyways, by principle, as a Christian, we believe in redemption. We believe in forgiveness. We believe in, when people make mistakes or they commit crimes, uh, there needs to be justice. We believe in justice. We believe in punishments, but we also believe that punishment should fit the crime. And sometimes, even if a crime is like a heavy crime, there are certain instances where judges and the society would provide a path for redemption, or in secular um, vocabulary, I think it might be appropriate to say a path towards rehabilitation from a life of crime to a path towards reintegrating these criminals into rehabilitating them back into society. So I personally feel that the idea behind Sheriff Eric Higgins creating an environment and a community within the jail cell to help criminals, incarcerated criminals, rebuild their sense of responsibility, rebuild their sense of um, adulthood, maturity, and community is a path towards in again in our definition as Christians we call it redemption, but in secular terms it's a path towards rehabilitation of these outfits. Sorry, what do you call that again? Outcast or misfits, social misfits, giving them an opportunity to get back to normal life, normal interaction or relationship with society. I agree with that kind of idea, but I would really recommend everybody to follow this. I think it's only about 5 or 6 episodes because it's a 6 weeks experiment. I think it's a real experiment, but now I can see that the Forbes article is kind of questioning if this is real, and there's um, there might be some controversy and some lawsuit that can come out of this reality show. I don't want to focus too much on that. I want to focus on the possibilities of the the experiment showing a pathway towards redemption. The experiment possibly showing wardens and sheriffs a sort of like a template. If they can develop a template to help incarcerated criminals find a pathway towards reintegrating them to society, I totally agree with that idea. I totally agree that people should be given second chances, even third chances. And yes, the dangerous criminals that would possibly recommit a crime or possibly be a danger to society, I totally agree that they should be locked up and be separated from the general public. But if there are opportunities for them to be mentored and because I think a lot of criminals, the reason they are criminals is because they're also, many of them are, in my opinion, many criminals in society are victims of crime themselves. So, for example, many sexual predators have been victims of sexual predators themselves when they were children, when they were kids. So those who go after children, they themselves, when they were children, they were preyed over by sex predators. And sometimes they are in a cycle, of course, unless some sort of like hand holding or some sort of an adult mentor or someone who cares to give them a second chance or show them a pathway towards breaking away from that cycle of curse, they will continue go down to that spiral, and they will continue to recommit crimes. But our prison system in North America are full are overcrowded. They're full of criminals who are actually victims themselves, and they were not shown a way. They if they only been shown, if many of them, or only if they are shown a path away from the cycle of curse, they will uh, take charge of their lives and their behaviors, and they will, if they're given opportunity to be good citizens and be good people. I think many of them, not all of them, but I am convinced that many of them will actually cherish the opportunity and just being given a chance to correct the course of their path. Given the opportunity, many of them will take advantage of it and actually correct their course, in my opinion. So, what Sheriff Eric Higgins from Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, I believe. Let me look at my notes here. I lost my notes on my other phone. Yeah, I believe it's Little Rock, Arkansas. Sheriff Higgins in the Pulaski County Regional Detention Facility. This is where they experimented if they can give many of these incarcerated a path towards maturing and correcting their own course by opening the cells and allowing them to move freely within the detention facility, not outside of the jail, but just outside of their particular cell. Because so what happened with this particular story, the premise also was that the normal operations in many of these jail cells or facilities, the incarcerated are only allowed to get out of their cell 1 hour out of 24 hours. So they have this ratio they call 23-1. 23-1, 23 being restricted in their cells, and only 1 hour out of the 24-hour cycles are they allowed to go out, have part of that 1 hour being able to go out is the meal times and the shower and a little bit of exercise. Looks like my daughter is waving at me. I think the class is about to finish soon, and so I might have to cut this short and continue this episode when I get home. But when I was following this reality docu-series, I remember everything that Pastor Art Pawlowski was telling us about everything that he discovered within the Remand Center. And he discovered that many of those who are in there, many of them are actually innocent or just maybe guilty, but not the kind of crime that they are charged with. For example, everybody knows the story of Jean Valjean in the epic long-time play called Les Miserables. The story behind Jean Valjean is he stole a loaf of bread. He broke a window pane. He stole a loaf of bread because his sister or his family member is dying of hunger. So he stole a loaf of bread to save the life of a family member. And but because of that, he was incarcerated for many years. That's the story of Jean Valjean in Les Miserables. And I remember Pastor Art was saying that many of those who are incarcerated in the Remand Center have similar situations where they are, incarcerated heavily for a lighter crime, guilty with a much heavier punishment that doesn't fit the crime. Again, let me reiterate, I'm not trying to justify crimes. I'm just saying that many people who are in jail facilities are probably not heavily guilty, and the punishment that they are the punishment that they are suffering doesn't fit the crime that they are charged with or found to be guilty with. And let's say even if they are found to be guilty, I think finding a way for people to rehabilitate from their life of crime, from their cycle of crime, is only beneficial for society. Folks, I'm just about to run out of time here. We are in the middle of a skating arena, and my daughter's just getting off the ice. So, folks, I will be right back.
Hello, friends. I am Derek Sloan, the leader of the Ontario Party. You are listening to the Freedom Fighter Radio Canada podcast, only here on The Ordinary Joe Show.
Imagine that the power grid was totally wiped by an EMP weapon of an enemy state. Your stress level will go to the roof, your patience will be tried, you will have to think about both your own and your complaining children's survival. If you don't survive, your children won't when they are left on their own. Teach your children how to have the mentality of being survivors through a fun, children-friendly guided outdoor adventures with basic survivor mindfulness integrated in the fun outing activity. Call my friends Ornell and Victoria who are experienced survivors. Call them at 905-252-8009 or email them at northernpacificcottages@gmail.com.
Hey folks, we're gonna do a part 2 of this podcast today. When I get home tonight, I'm also I cannot linger or stagger too much here in the ice rink arena because we have a friend who just came out of surgery and we are going to visit her on our way home. So my daughter just went to the locker room now to change her ice skates to her shoes, and so I'm just gonna say goodbye for now. But definitely we are gonna pick up on this conversation because I think there's a lot of lesson to learn from this particular reality docuseries called Unlocked. I believe there's many of this principle that Sheriff Eric Higgins is following the jail culture from the Philippines. Many of you probably remember those dancing prisoners. They're given autonomy in the prisons and they're given opportunity to create community within the prison system. We're gonna pick up on this and talk about more on this issue on the next episode. So please share, and we'll see you again next time. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Freedom Fighter Radio, what is up? Whoa!
Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio. And Joe, you're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right? Always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful. Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Sky. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today back in the blue, and so am I.